All right, welcome back to Mr. P Helps with Algebra 2. This is Unit 5 Topic 1 SLT3. We are going to be finding relative frequencies today, or relative frequencies. Suppose the following information is known about Rufus High School. So this is just a quick review of the last video if you were just watching. We are going to compare everything to 1,000 since 40% of students participate in one or more school activities. So that would be this column. So 40%, remember 40% is the same as 40 hundredths. If you add another zero to it, it becomes 400 thousandths. So that's 400 out of 1,000. 58%, which is 0.58, add a zero to it, and you get 580 thousandths. Other students are female, so that's 580 right here. Now, I can find the rest using simple subtraction. So this, what number added to 580 is 1,000? That would be 420. I did this minus this, and then 1,000 minus 400 is 600. There you go. So participation after school athletics, so yes or no by gender. So that's as much as that we can fill out so far. Then I would need to know one of these index pieces of data up here in order to figure out the rest. Let me just make sure. So that's not this one. So 40% of female are in one or more school activities. Okay, yep, that's it. So we would need that extra piece of data in order to figure out the rest. Based on only on the cells you completed in the warm-up, which of the following probabilities can be calculated, which ones cannot. So I just kind of answered that, and that's the reason why I just stood there for a second, because I couldn't remember if we were supposed to know that already. The probability that a randomly selected student is a female. So yeah, we can figure that out. So we know that's 40%, because that's actually what was given to us. Probability randomly selected students participates in after-school activity. Okay, we can do that. Probability, we can't do this one, so we don't know whether or not they are male and in a program. So that's the only thing we do not know. So we were able to figure out all of the marginal data. We just haven't been able to figure out all the index. Okay, so same things we have for the one. So 23.2 students are females and participate in athletics. So females and participate in athletics, 232 goes right there. And now I should be able to figure out all the rest using subtraction. So 400 minus 232 is 168. Let's see. So 580 minus 232. I didn't have my calculator up. So let's see. 580 minus 232 gives me 348. The 420 minus 168 is 252. All right, now I got all my data. I can answer these questions. What two probabilities can you find from the first two rows? Okay, so I got a little bit ahead of myself. So in the first two rows, I could figure out, so just using this, I could figure out this one and this one. And remember, this is the only one that we had originally, so I could figure out this one and this one based using this number. And then what two probabilities can you find from the first column? Okay, so this first column, okay, I'm sorry, so that one you can figure out as well. So it depends how you're taking this question. What do you notice about their sums? So their sums have to always add up to the totals. Okay, so it kind of gets us closer to this idea of relative frequency. So, relative data in this case is relative probability, I should say, is it's when you're comparing something to the total. It doesn't have to be the total of everything. So relative probability could just be what percentage of males participate in athletics. Now, you wouldn't use this 1,000. You would say out of the males. So what percentage of males means it's out of the 420. But if I say what percentage of people participate in athletics are male, which seems like the same question, is out of 400. All right, so once again, those two questions are what percentage of males participate in athletics, that'd be 168 or 420, or what percent of people who play athletics are male, which sounds like the exact same question in reverse, but it actually is a completely different question. It's 168 over 400, not 420, because you're using the column instead of the row. Randomly selected student is female. What's the probability that she participates in athletics? Okay, so we know the person is a female, so that's our population. So it's out of females, which is out of 580. So that's the population is 580. So population just means how much it's out of altogether. And then the sample is how many of those are that thing. What was the probability that she participates in an athletics program? So how many of those females participate in athletics? That would be 232 of the 580. 232. So then I can divide. I do this divided by this, and then I can change it to a percentage, and I've got my answer. All right, so 232 divided by 580. Whoops. 232 divided by 580 is 0.4. Okay, so that was 0.4, so which is 40%. All right. Let's do another one of these. So if a student is selected at random, what's the probability that he or she is a male and participates? Okay, so first of all, it's out of 1,000 because it says if a student, so that's your population, that's all the students. So out of everybody can be possibly picked. In this question, only females can be picked, so it was out of 580 people. Like in this question, it says if a randomly selected student does not participate in athletics. Okay, so that's specific, so that's your population. So it's only people who do not participate in sports. So that's out of 600. So that's the difference between all of these questions. They all have different populations. So let's just keep talking about population. If a student is selected at random, okay, so that's out of 1,000 because it's out of all students selected out of random. So those are your populations. Now let's talk sample for this question. What's the probability that he or she is male and participates in athletics? Has to be both, male and participate. So that'd be 168. And then you would just divide. 168 of 1,000 is 0.168, which is 16.8%. If a randomly selected student does not participate in school sports, okay, what's the probability that it's a female? Does not. Females, 348. So 348 divided by 600. Oops, I need to clear up my calculator. 348 divided by 600 is 58 hundredths, which is 58%. Okay, so these questions really break it down very well because in the future, we're not going to break it down like this. You're going to see probability questions where it's going to be probability of something given that something happens. So it could be A given that B occurred. And so this is really just breaking down what it's out of. So you can see that the populations are changing, which means the samples, in this case, changing as well. If the student is selected at random, that means it's out of everybody. What's the probability? Okay, so that's similar to a question I've already done. So I have a few more things I have to show, so I want to make sure I move on. So this is what I'm talking about a second ago. So let's let A represent a randomly selected female. And let's let B represent a person who participates in athletics. So A is female. So I'm going to go back to my table for a second. So A's are females, which means males are the complement of A, which means they're everybody who's not A. And B represents people who participate in athletics, which means the people who don't participate are the complement of B, so the people who don't participate in athletics. All right, so now the way I've identified each of the events using letters, that makes it easier to write the question. So complement just means, and I already answered that question, it means everybody that's not included in a given sample set. So if it's A represents females, then the complement of A is everybody who's not a female, which in that case, since there's only two choices, male or female, so it's everybody who's not a female. Technically, should be the same thing. Describe the complement of A, just did that. Describe the complement of B, did that. Describe the intersection of A and B. Intersection just means where the two meet. So A and B means you have to be both. So you're both a female and you participate in sports. That's what you would write here. Females that also participate in sports. Union is you only have to be in one or the other. So that would be females or people who participate in sports. So intersections are ands and unions are ors. Remember if we did probability in the last video, it's much harder to be an and than an or because and you have to be in both categories, ors you only have to be in one or the other. All right, and I think I'm actually going to stop it right there because I get more in depth in this in future videos. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful day.